A lovely good evening to you, our viewers. My name is Sharon Kalimbula, and this is the Camnet main news desk today on the Independence Day for Zambia, and it marks 56 years of independence. Our news crew has been tracking various opinions on this day from various sectors of the economy, and we compiled some of those opinions on our news desk. But before we do that, let's look at the headlines tonight. Zambia celebrates 56 years of independence. UPND and DC women use the day to protest against police brutality. Government defers local printing of ballot papers to 2021. And half of all political office bearers are corrupt, charges Patriotic Front presidential hopeful KBF. In international news, gunfire erupts in Guinea as president heads for third term bid. In sports news, NKANA takes Charity Shield title in a game played against INDENI. Join me shortly for the details.
Msika is here. We have you all covered with just 150 kwacha. You can advertise every day from 17 hours to 18 hours. For a 30-second ad, get the benefit of selling your products and services on Msika. For more details, call our marketing department on +260 953 995099, +260 962 444 726, or +260 971 177 467. Email us on info@camnettvafrica.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Sharon Kalimbula once again. The details. 24th October each year is marked as a special day on Zambia's calendar. Today marks 56 years of independence. Mainly, the day is used to reflect on the liberation struggle and prospects of self-governance. Independence is a countrywide celebration with people from various sectors celebrating in style. In Lusaka, this national event was headed by President Edgar Lungu, leading the celebration through a procession which started at the Freedom Statue, where he laid wreaths for the fallen liberation heroes. The process was attended by senior government officials, members of the diplomatic corps, and the foreign dignitaries. This year's Zambia's independence was being celebrated under the theme One Land, One Nation, Building Our Future Proud and Free. Details in this report.
The country marked the 56th anniversary of its independence from the British colonization with a low-key main event in Lusaka due to restrictions posed by the COVID-19 pandemic. President Edgar Lungu this morning led dignitaries in laying wreaths at the Freedom Statue in Lusaka in honor of fallen heroes. President Lungu was the first to lay leaves, then senior government officials and diplomats whose attendance was restricted. The president was given a 21-gun salute mounted by the Zambia Army 2nd Battalion. This year's independence is being celebrated under the theme Zambia at 56, One Zambia, One Nation, Building Our Future, Proud and Free. Giving a homily during the independence celebration at the Freedom Statue, Zambia Army Chaplain Colonel Reverend Shadrack Mwale says the biggest challenge the country and its citizens face is to strive for a united and developed Zambia. In his message on the eve of the anniversary, President Lungu said the government is determined to make the country a prosperous nation through improving different sectors of the economy. He further emphasized the need for unity, adding that it was a dream of the country's founding fathers to have a unitary and prosperous country where every citizen is equal before the law. But are we equal before the law? Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Still on this important matter, the Golden Party of Zambia President Jackson Silabwe has charged that 24th October should create an opportunity for the country to reflect on the 56 years Zambia is not economically independent. Mr. Silabwe says true freedom means economic independence for the people of Zambia, which also tells that the lives of the Zambian people should be better through the provision of quality healthcare and education for all. The opposition leader says an economically independent Zambia is achievable, and it starts with the right leadership and change of mindset for the Zambian people.
For us as a party, we're at the path where on the 24th October, we're reflecting that and asking ourselves the question, is it enough only to have political independence without economic independence? We are saying as a party that it's not enough. It is on that basis the Golden Party of Zambia was formed to contribute to the economic independence of the country. For us, economic independence is having a better life for our people. For us, economic independence is to have education for all. For us, economic independence is to make sure that this country has got reducing the high cost of doing business as well as the high cost of living as well for our people. We have got good roads right now, and yet our people cannot afford a car or a bus fare. So for us, we are saying that true independence is the one that reduces the cost of living for our people. True independence is the one where we have a country that is tolerant of divergent views, where different political parties can learn to coexist. True independence is for us having jobs for our people. For us in the Golden Party, we say there is no better Zambia without Zambians. True independence for us means having an industry, local-driven industry, driven by the Zambian people in all sectors of the economy. Really, ours, we feel, is a fight. GPZ has embraced the fight of economic freedom, and we will not waver from it. We will embrace it.
The Jesuit Center for Theological Reflection, JCTR, has charged that as Zambia celebrates its 56 years of independence, there is need to break the cycle of dependency as a country. JCTR Executive Director Father Alex Muyebe has noted with sadness that the commitments to the independence narratives and ideologies are slowly fading away, adding that independence is about every Zambian citizen living a dignified life. Father Muyebe notes that over the last 56 years of independence, Zambia has enjoyed the long-earned reputation of peace on the continent and beyond. He, however, notes that with the rate of political violence threatening this long-earned reputation, the center has since implored government to take a leading role in sensitizing its citizens to reject all forms of violence in society. Meanwhile, Father Muyebe says JCTR is concerned about the rapidly weakening economy in the country, which he says is jeopardizing the economic and social justice of the ordinary citizens, especially the poor, marginalized and the vulnerable.
Joins the rest of the country in commemorating the 56th anniversary of independence on Saturday, 24th October 2020. The center upholds in high esteem the role that the nation's forefathers and mothers played in attaining independence for our beloved country. However, the center wishes to raise pertinent issues in relation to independence and freedom with respect to economic and social justice informed by human rights and moral imperatives. The commitments to the independence narrative and ideology are slowly fading away. Independence is about every Zambian citizen living a dignified life. We owe a moral responsibility to the next generations to pass on to them a viable and enabling environment characterized by economic emancipation through self-sustainability and reliance. Over the last 56 years of independence,
Meanwhile, Transparency International Zambia, TIZ, has observed with great concern how the majority of the politicians will have sown seeds of division along tribal and political lines by threatening the peace and freedom of the country fought for and have continued to enjoy for a long period of time. TIZ Executive Director Maurice Nyambe says it is unfortunate to note how politicians have still want to use such tactics and forget the efforts made by the gallant men and women of this country in fighting for independence. Mr. Nyambe adds that it has been further noted with displeasure that despite the efforts to boost the country's economy in the past 5 decades, the country continues to face challenges in the way governance issues are managed. He further explains that Zambia is blessed with a lot of natural resources, but despite this, it still remains one of the poorest countries in the world.
And political lines, thus threatening the very proud and free future we are building towards as a country. TIZ therefore makes an earnest appeal to all stakeholders across the political divide to do away with the reckless tribal sentiments that have characterized our political discourse, particularly over the last few years. We have also noted with worry that despite the strides that we have made as a country over the last 5 decades, we have continued to face challenges in the way we have managed our affairs. Zambia is a country that is blessed with natural resources such as minerals, water bodies, forests, wildlife, and many others. And yet today, we remain one of the poorest countries on earth, with a debt burden that threatens to bring our economy to its knees, a shrinking civic space that continues to deny citizens their rights to express themselves freely on matters that affect them, and a corruption problem that appears to be getting worse with every passing year. TIZ is convinced that these challenges are man-made, with those that we have successively entrusted to manage our affairs not having done so in ways that promote accountable, transparent, and equitable development across the country. We therefore implore the ruling PF government to depart from the usual rhetorical talk that has characterized successive governments' commemoration of Independence Day. Rather, we challenge them to provide Zambia with the following Independence Day presents. First, we challenge them to show real leadership and action towards the fight against corruption. The trivialization of corruption that we have seen from senior government leaders must not be allowed to take root.
Women from the opposition United Party for National Development and the National Democratic Congress Party have joined hands in denouncing political violence and police brutality on the Independence Day. UPND Provincial Chairperson Rose Zulu says the women are not happy with the manner in which the police abusively handled the wife of NDC leader Chiba Kamwili and daughter at the Lusaka Magistrates Court on Tuesday this week. Meanwhile, NDC spokesperson Saboye has told journalists that violence against women must not be allowed. Details in this report.
To mark this year's independence, the women from the opposition United Party for National Development and National Democratic Congress opted to protest against what they termed as injustice under the Patriotic Front administration. UPND Provincial Chairperson Rose Zulu says the dehumanizing manner in which Mrs. Kambwiri and her daughter were treated was an affront on the well-being of women in the country.
Our president, Mr. HH, you are telling us that today is independence. Yes, we knew it. Some time back. Today, even as they are there at the Freedom Statue, what we believed was that Mr. Kambwiri was supposed to be there, seated with Mr. HH, seated with whoever is the president of any opposition party, but they are not free. They can't sit with them, they can't. Shame Nalane! Shame Nalane! We saw how Mrs. Kambwili was stripped. I was with her when she was just picked, whatever was happening. I was very shocked.
Meanwhile, National Democratic Congress spokesperson Savoy Imbwela has told journalists that violence against women must not be allowed.
Police officer, mwaenda pa police, you start manhandling women like that. And investors and NKANA. Wakamba to president watu wanashita hivi. You had your day in court, you convicted him. So why can you prison? Why is it that every time he's appearing in court, furu akapokora pa court? It's treason. Furu akapokora ku court. Balasa ise kungena. Balasa na family kungena. It's not normal. Tikakamba tini political persecution in David Kamba.
Yes.
This is political persecution. Somebody's in prison, but President HH and President CK.
Ms. Imbwela also alleged that the arrests being made against members of opposition political parties are aimed at intimidating them from exercising their rights to associate and assemble. She has since called on the police to stop being used as tools of violence and oppression, not only on women, but also on those opposed to the ruling Patriotic Front rule.
My elections in Munomucharo, Katazimai. We all know that strategy. My youth bariko, number badinayo, but sometimes my youth to kapasa mo wanga change mzuri. I change a vote for Fakaini. But Kuzimaya kakamba tinia And I've been saying one thing to everybody, okay? To say the moment we allow this government and their cadres to violate women like that, they will make it easier for them to kill our men. Immediately society or our PF, you allow that violation of women.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Well, those are some of the views with regards to our independence, which marks 56 years of Zambia's independence. Moving on in the news, Senior Chief Momena of the Kaunda-speaking people of Kalumbila District in Northwestern Province has pleaded for enhanced security in his chiefdom, especially in schools. Speaking during the donation of computers by Toyota Zambia at Mbulungu Basic School in Kalumbila District, Chief Momena complained of increased criminal activities and how police released the suspects once apprehended without properly following the law. The chief has since appealed to the community, teachers, pupils to guard the donated items jealously and report any suspicious-looking person to the police. Let's take a look.
My appeal to many other companies in line with their corporate social responsibility to identify these needs. My only other appeal is for security of these computers. We've had this school, Mr. Debs, and indeed the entire community, several schools in our kingdom have been receiving donations, 1 or 2 donations of computers. But we also do realize that there seems to be a team of criminals and thieves that have been going around Zambia and going around this chiefdom, going around this district, stealing the computers. When we report these matters, these thieves seem to be going scot-free. So far, I have not heard of one that has been brought to book. Are they also as slippery as computers? So we want to appeal to the police and to the security wings. When these matters are brought, please, we want to see the investigations and the characters brought to book. We cannot continue at the pace we are doing. Above all, the community themselves and the teachers and also the pupils must be the greater security officers to report any suspicious-looking characters that are coming through doing these things. So I want to call upon every one of you to be community police people, policing your own community, so that this equipment is protected.
Government has deferred the process of printing ballot papers for next year to 2026, contrary to the earlier pronouncement made by government that it will print the 2021 ballot papers locally using government printers. President Edgar Lungu and two former ministers of Works and Supply, Felix Mutati and Mutoto Ekafwaya respectively, and the current minister had assured the nation that government printers was going to print the ballot papers locally. However, the Electoral Commission of Zambia has awarded Dubai-based Al Ghurair Printing Company a contract to print the 2021 general elections ballot papers and other election materials. And Minister of Works and Supply, Silva Chalikosa, has told Camnet TV News that the progress has been made in order to allow government printers to revamp its operations in readiness for future elections. She has, however, assured the Zambian people that government will utilize government printers to print by-election materials.
Quite advanced. As we are speaking now, all government printing is done at government printers. That is stationery of headed paper. We even want to standardize the business cards and whatever printing that needs to be done, in addition to the government gazettes and all other public documents that are used by government, are currently being done only at government printers. So it's our hope that after the 2021 elections, we will use government printers. Possibly, if there will be by-elections, we may use them to see how we fare. But depending on how we fare with Bill 10, the idea is that we do all government printing, including security documents from government printers.
Home Affairs Minister Stephen Kampiongo has ruled out possibilities of extending the ongoing second phase of issuance of NRCs under the Mobile National Registration Cards issuance. Mr. Kampiongo tells Camnet TV News that his office is, however, open to any suggestions. Mr. Kampiongo says his ministry will remain open in all the districts even after the ongoing mobile issuance of national registration cards expires, so that people continue to get the cards. Meanwhile, Mr. Kampiongo has expressed happiness with the mobile issuance of NRCs in Lusaka, Southern, Western, Central and Muchinga provinces. The government on the 20th of September 2020 commenced the second phase of the mobile national registration cards issuance for four provinces, with a target of capturing about 73,000 people.
Tell you that having been on the ground, even in Southern Province, where I last toured, the exercise has been going on quite well. Except that people want to think when the mobile exercise is being undertaken, there will be allowance to break the law. Meaning, people would want to bring underage, people would want to bring the overage that can't account for their period of not being registered when the mandatory age was attained. So these are the challenges that you find and common in most of the areas. But just to emphasize the point that the process of registering people is anchored on the piece of registration, National Registration Act, which is an act of parliament, and so is the citizenship. National Citizenship Act. So these are two pieces of legislation that our officers interpolate as they identify their people. And having been on the ground, I'm well informed to see whether we need an extension. But what is also important for people to know is that even after the mobile exercise, our offices will remain open in all the districts. Our offices will remain open, just as they are open now. So there's nothing like, oh no, people will be closed and no one will be given a chance to get registered. We are doing quite a lot. I mean, we are scaling up birth registration. We have decentralized from the headquarters going down to the provinces. So we want to link this, and very soon we shall be migrating from the manual way of doing things to digital. smart way of registering citizens.
You're watching Camnet News. Just now we take a break, but still to come in the news, a non-governmental organization based in Eastern Province calls for enhanced health coverage for people living with conditions known as spina bifida and hydrocephalus. Stay with us.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962 642 490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
Stay home, stay safe. Times have changed. With the advent of the coronavirus, Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company would like to advise its esteemed customers to avoid visiting crowded places. You don't have to move to pay your water bill. You can do it in the convenience of your home. You can pay your water bills through Zanaco Zapit, Stanbic Bank, Standard Chartered Bank, and FNB. You can also use Airtel, MTN, and Zamtel Kwacha mobile money transfer services. For any inquiries to report a fault, please contact our customer service on +260 211 251 571, +260 975 618 618, and toll-free line 5957, Zamtel only. You can also simply email customerservice@lwsc.com. This public announcement is brought to you by the Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company. Water is life. Sanitation is health.
Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue with the news. Patriotic Front 2021 presidential hopeful Kelvin Fubwe has charged that half of the politicians holding government positions are corrupt, hence failing to appreciate important matters that have to do with money. Mr. Fubwe notes that the only handful of ministers are in government are credible, with the rest being described as brutes who do not understand governance issues. He has cited the country's budgeting system, which he says is bad owing to the fact that most of the resources are channeled to debt servicing. The presidential hopeful has since emphasized on the need to change the mentality of citizens towards personal and national growth if the country is to witness massive development. Meanwhile, Mr. Fubwe says there is nothing to celebrate about independence as the country is still not economically free at 56 years.
Patriotic Front 2021 aspiring presidential candidate Kelvin Fubwe says there is need to damage the ignorance of politicians who think and still believe that the only way to get into political power is by dancing at political rallies.
The politicians think and believe today that the only way they can get themselves into power is dancing. Every time there's a rally, there must be music. What are you telling the people? Anybody can dance. The message. For example, when MMD was coming up, Mukum for rally, we wanted to get the message. What's the promise? What am I going to this rally for? Not to go and watch people dance. There's a place for everything. You and I are Christians. There's a place and time for everything. Each time has a season. There's a place for dancing. A political rally means let's share ideas. There are some ministers who think the only time they're going to go and call a rally is for musicians to dance. When you ask, Meanwhile,
Mr. Fubwe adds that there is nothing special to celebrate about independence as the country is still not economically free at 56 years. And a lot of factors that have not been looked on have continued to affect the country's economy.
What's going to happen to this mass of youth when you've got 82% of the nation being the youth and you can't provide for their developmental agenda, as a nation we are failing. That's the truth, and statistics don't lie. Third, our procurement system is wrong. Everything we procure in Zambia is inflated. Everything. Now, 15 to 20% of any third world country's budget allocation has to do with procurement, be it medicine, be it books, be it ambulances, be it whatever you're trying to procure. If 15% of your budget has to do with procurement, but everything is inflated, who is skimming off the top of that inflated price? Fourth, if your corruption levels as a nation are suffering and you are not curbing that corruption, and when institutions that are targeted at fighting corruption want to prosecute people, those institutions are threatened and cases are failing in court because of lack of evidence, because investigations officers are intimidated, or because something has happened somewhere along the line. You can't develop, you cannot be financially sound as a nation.
He adds that the lack of political will in the country has also contributed to economic crisis that the country is still facing.
The independent, with some of the ministers we have today, Niba Kaponya. With the greatest respect, Niba Kaponya. There are very few that I can say, yes, that's quality. But no, Zana. We need to change some players and change the game. I keep saying that, and I mean it. Now, if any bowler, quite was substitute. Not if you're Kushana.
Miriam Kemba, reporting for Camnet TV News in Lusaka.
Interesting item there. Mwembeshi constituency aspiring member of parliament under the Patriotic Front ticket, Kelvin Toloko, has urged people of Shibuyunji district to work with the government of the day if they are to see meaningful development in the area. Speaking when he met headmen in Nakaiva ward today, Toloko says it's high time the people chose to work with the government of the day in order to enjoy the national cake. Toloko has donated some pockets of cement to complete Shikatende Clinic in Nakaiva ward. Meanwhile, senior headman Shikatende has thanked Mr. Toloko for donating cement towards the completion of the clinic. The traditional leader says the people in the area have always wanted to work with the ruling party but had no link. He says the aspiring candidates should engage the headman freely ahead of the 2021 general elections.
Pataski vama mwami ababonse chintu chitutoya ndatwanda kuchincha mwembeji kwambai imarodi abego kuli chintu chesheri kwambai chize kunosa kuli bachitongo mbalo cha daily wo kwambai barakama kuli bachi kokutika chichitirwa wo kumasenambi kunanga kuli bantu bakweza koma ngombe kwambai bamfa koma ngombe mahaifazi wati kuli kokoshiri kuno ono amapafa Lusaka 50 kilometers. Teni chintu kachunga kulale shwanu bantu. Natukale pancho lungu mwana wako mwagalwana. Kulijindija kuchita reconcile. Na kulinchiwa kamubishira baidi kachagwa lungu. Kokutono amwe mukale panchi. Mujite reconcile tusibe kwamba ijia chintu. Na kwamba ino iswe. Na kulinchitwa karubisha. Kokuti bunobuzu wajira. Ya itabuti chamana.
Waso, tuwatuletela simenti wambai. Tumanishe matwele titujaruri. Tuwamutu wabaita. Nwamashima po bantu besumbutu amu bambire nchobe na abaza utugwasha bantu lobo tabaganjira mu clinic jandoro mwana family yabo yenjiri kuni pamukula ivo abapalibo bashonda bati bajikonya kambo bantu lobo ngatu ambaye kulusala ujo mana kuli wate kubamba menda shoma wambaye mutu abo manu abo aliyo kuno munakaiba wati kambo lubono lwabwa yuli kulindimewo mujibandao Tota akumbwinga bakulu bakulu. Ansa ngumwali kwambaye, mupira kwambaye sanje. Ta akumbwinga twabula kuba pa mavoti bantolobo. Kambo mbanagishe.
A 25-year-old woman of Lusaka's Kanyama compound is seeking for financial assistance from any well-wishers after her husband of 3 years abandoned her for another woman. Josephine Mwinga, a mother of 3, has told Camnet TV that her husband has been in a habit of emotionally abusing her and accusing her of stealing money from him. Mwinga disclosed that early this month, her husband, whom he knew for 3 years, started abusing her emotionally and mentally, and at one point he allegedly told her that he didn't want to see her ever again. She adds that it is almost 4 days now since her husband took off and left unpaid rentals that owed their landlord for 5 months. Miriam Kaimba has the details of this story.
She has been told by her husband to pack her belongings and leave her matrimonial home after her husband of 3 years accused her of stealing 200 kwacha. Josephine Mwinga, 25 years old, of Lusaka's Kanyama compound and a mother of 3, narrated to this reporter how her husband of 3 years has been emotionally and mentally abusing her in the presence of her in-laws without any respect and regards.
Inechamechina lengesa kutitia mbani. Banana mizirati na wabela 200. Na wabela 200. Enshi drama ya mana ni na mizira inesinaitengeko. Veve swama bwela pona drama iliyonzo ankana na drama. Benzo shtawa kankana drama, tenga drama, pasa mwana wa brother wao. Inespenzo nipasa kon drama iliyonse, vinoro drama nziyo, kugulira mana safu. Ne mwina wake ni mashita mapisu weki, pali balando watu, ni mashita nikashita mapisu weki, soche na kulira mwana wanga safu. Sometimes wezo shtati bakumbuka, so mpela niwokolewa, watenga phone, wambuka mbana wakazi, wanisha pali wana wa brother wao. Pasande vezana mboni pisha na wana. Sonde mena nyamukira na ta. Nilibevo chita kulibego ninga wapeleke bantu wanga skapansa stachani. Lalema sonde mena nyamukira na bwera kuno na bwera ndororera na ta. Ina mna wanga stachani wani pisha na wana wangono wanu. Sininga kwaniso semenza nchito ili hadi na operation. Ero tu even olo nchito nza semenza bwanja abana ni bangono uyu life yake imankala ija yo dualirira. Olo muntu omsiyana yafuna uja muntu yanga ngaina chikuko mtekina ke. So ndi mwene zinabwena bwana bwerera kuno. So after tabwera kuno banapita kwa almost 2 days banachokapu banisi ya mnyumba na bana basiana Maria zikuchoka mjuni swali pila nyumba.
Mwinga disclosed that her in-laws have been convincing her husband to leave her, accusing her of having thoughts of killing him. However, Mwinga says her husband abandoned them for another woman, but before he left, he had threatened to kill her.
Family wao bangala kumzi, bablulu bablada wao, pamenzona batumila phone drama nishia so benzona mbache kubatumfya nzeru zoipa kutuyu muntu si muntu ongala naye pafupi angakupai. Na wewe vanapoa tusapoweji komboza inatia edo so ya blada wanga kwambati mkazi wanga ujoina balako mwana of garden chura chabebu nonotiwe doswale vanakusura tu benze benzo uza che machani chimawedi cheo ipa che amewenzo bauza chabi. So even oloktini bauze ni balondororere china nikangala tinungwe kazani pangira njira na bana wanga. Kunimenya kwa investments onimenya koma kukamba mainsult mawedio ipa pavokudia kushauta kuchosa mawedio ipa pavokudia uyu mwana kabwera kuchosa mawedio ipa kuchosa mainsult yo ipa vimajunkie va kuvima street kids vifuna pano panini vileta mizimu zo ipa kuliwa na wabolanga nivaletela mizimu zo ipa kisiriza vokudia paunga kukamba chevosiana.
Mwinga, who dropped out of school in grade 7 because of economic challenges the family was facing, says life has been difficult for them. Mwinga, if helped financially, hopes to start a business so that she can be able to take care of her 3 children. Miriam Kemba, reporting for Camnet TV News in Lusaka.
Sad story there. The Papaya K Foundation, which empowers parents of children living with disabilities, has called for proper access to health and education facilities for people living with conditions known as spina bifida and hydrocephalus as it prepares to commemorate the day. Spina bifida is a birth defect that occurs when the spine and spinal cord don't form properly, while hydrocephalus hydrocephalus is a condition in which an accumulation of cerebral fluid occurs within the brain. Organization Executive Director has bemoaned that many people lack information about the condition, while some attach superstition perception. She says the media can help reverse it through their interaction with communities. Speaking at a press briefing in Livingston ahead of the World Spina Bifida and Hydrocephalus Day, which falls annually on the 25th of October, Ms. Mokwavi further urged the media to highlight issues facing people with spina bifida and hydrocephalus to help end the stigma they are subjected to by society.
Aim of 25 October WSBHD is raising awareness and understanding about spina bifida and hydrocephalus, the better life without social and economic barriers, the right to access services and information for good decision making. Esteemed invited guests, as you may or may not be aware, the spina bifida and hydrocephalus SBH community has not been an exemption from the impact of COVID-19 in all aspects of development, including economic, social, and or health. Many people think it's associated with family planning, witchcraft, or other superstitions. So we want people to know it has nothing to do with these things, but rather they are medical conditions that can be prevented and treated. Society needs to understand that these conditions do exist and it can happen to anyone. As a parent, you can have a child with spina bifida or can have a child with hydrocephalus to some extent. They can be prevented by measures that are known already. Taking your folic acid pre-conception, economic harsh environments, as well as lack of information on various developmental services that are much needed among people with SBH and their caregivers. Ladies and gentlemen, in line with some of our findings, the following are our recommendations to government and other necessary stakeholders. Recommendations being accessibility to healthcare services, accessibility to socio-economic empowerment, accessibility to inclusive education. We may talk about accessibility and inclusion based on the good policies.
In other news, a non-governmental organization called Pamozi Indiana has constructed a maternity ward in Mberenjere community in Chipangali district at a total cost of 400,000 kwacha. Pamozi Indiana director Enrico Correta says the construction of the maternity ward is meant for women in the community not walking long distances in order to access medical attention. Mr. Correta says the initiative to construct the maternity ward was initiated by the late Italian Catholic priest Father Francis after observing the difficulties women from Mberenjere area were going through to access medical health. Zanis has more in this report.
Pregnant women from Benjere area in Chipangali district have been walking about 25 kilometers to access maternity services for many years. Their plight to have a maternity ward in their community has materialized, and walking long distances is now a thing of the past. Pamozi Indiana, a non-governmental organization in Chipata district, has constructed a maternity ward in Benjere area at a total cost of 400,000 kwacha.
This project started in 2018. It's got support from Italy, from bank, the Credito Cooperativo Cremasco. The amount we spend is 400,000, amount almost 220,000 euro, 200,000 ZAMBIA kwacha. In 2018, that's when we also decided to help with these are the building that would separate the delivery room from the main building. Actually, in the same building, they were delivering and having all the other services for Ministry of Health, so there was very little privacy for mothers to deliver.
Chipangali District Health Director Danny Suya, in a speech read on his behalf by District Nursing Officer Sarah Tembo, said the maternity ward will effectively help in reducing maternal deaths in the area.
Mbenjere is one of the communities that has a very big population. Around 10,000 people come here to receive the services. And pregnant women used to suffer a lot because they used to walk 25 kilometers to come and find the health services. And we are thankful for the project. This will take us a long way because mothers will no longer walk those very far distances. They will be coming here to deliver.
And the beneficiaries had this to say.
Vamimba mapapira mjira usawa kopitira omwampavu yambuye abamba France anatithandizira umanga chipatala chino tuluyamikira tuluthokoza ngakhale kuti anatsikira kuli chete koma mzimu wawo use ni mtende
iseni for otokoza po titandiza chipatala ichi cha Mbenjere tenzeve kopapira tenzovutika choka kunukuya ku giveaway mbalero tankhala okondwa po tipasa ichi chipatala sizavutika tenzotauka mkolo. Government
is working on efforts aimed at reducing maternal deaths in the country by partnering with various stakeholders. Sylvester Shimba reporting for Zanis in Chipangali District, Eastern Province.
We take a break, but still to come is international and sports news. Stay with us.
I have used Oracle Pure Glycerin for 2 years now. It has really worked for me. It has cleared all the black spots on my face. It has restored my skin beauty. It also smoothens the skin. Try Oracle Pure Glycerin for perfect skin. If it's not Oracle Glycerin, then it's not Pure Glycerin.
Welcome back. This is Camnet News. We now look at international stories. Guinea's army has been deployed to curb demonstrations after a preliminary result showed President Alpha Condé winning a controversial third term. At least 26 people have been killed in unrest since Sunday's election. Now, phone lines and internet connections have been cut. In other news, Sudan is set to become the third Arab country to normalize ties with Israel. The U.S. brokered deal was announced by President Donald Trump, who says at least 5 more Arab states want the same agreement. Following the UAE and Bahrain's similar deals, the Palestinians are calling Sudan's move a new stab in the back. Al Jazeera has more on these stories.
Violent scenes on the streets of Guinea's capital, Conakry. Opposition supporters angry at the news the president is on course for yet another election win.
Professor Alpha Condé, MPG.
Guinea's election commission says preliminary results show Alpha Condé has secured a third term in office. With 37 of 38 districts counted, it says Condé's won around twice as many votes as his nearest rival. But opposition candidate Selou Dalin Diallo has already called the result unconstitutional and declared himself the winner.
Now it is for all of us to fight to preserve, to defend our victory. And you know that it is threatened by Alpha Condé, who had no voters but had an army of fraudsters. They have transformed the vote you expressed into another in favor of Alpha Condé. We must not accept it.
The government mobilized the army as opposition supporters flooded the streets.
Alpha Condé has been in power since 2010 instead of Cellou Dalein Diallo. We, all of Guinea, we chose UFDG. That's what Guinea wants. If UFDG is not elected, Guinea will not be calm.
Condé's decision to run for a third term sparked repeated protests over the past year and resulted in dozens of deaths. But the government's denied using heavy-handed tactics and accused the opposition of causing chaos.
Guinea's government, faithful to its principle of preserving peace and social tranquility, cannot allow this situation to take root. We deplore the deaths and bow to their memory, all of them, civilians and agents of the security forces.
Now the international criminal courts warning both sides could face prosecution if the violence continues. But Guinea's opposition has vowed to contest the result in the Constitutional Court, fueling fears of more violence. Cara Legg, Al Jazeera.
From the Oval Office, another part of US President Donald Trump's Middle East peace plan falls into place, even if he isn't submerged in the detail.
We did Sudan, they wanted to do a deal, and that was in particular nice because they've essentially been at war with Israel for a long time. I don't know if it was fighting, I don't know that, but probably there's been a little bit.
The Trump administration says it's a deal years in the making. It's involved Secretary of State Mike Pompeo flying to Sudan and Israel's Prime Minister making an official visit. Sudan has agreed to pay $335 million in compensation to victims of the 1998 East Africa US Embassy bombings, the attack on the US coal in Yemen in 2000, and the family of a murdered US diplomat. That's cleared the way for Sudan to be removed from the list of nations the US considers state sponsors of terrorism. And that puts Israel in place to establish formal relations.
There was no relationship whatsoever. Today's peace agreement will enhance Israel's security and end Sudan's long isolation.
Congress now has 45 days to consider Donald Trump's decision. It could block it, but that seems unlikely. If it goes through, sanctions on Sudan will be removed, and that clears the way for increased trade. Sudan is the third Arab country to normalise relations with Israel in recent months. Bahrain and the United Arab Emirates signed the Abraham Accords at a White House ceremony last month. Palestinians say the decision by the government in Khartoum is another stab in the back. Hamas describes it as political sin.
Delegations from Sudan and Israel will meet soon to discuss cooperation in many fields, agriculture, trade and other issues of importance to our citizens. Sudan's skies are today open to Israel. It allows direct and shorter flights between Israel, Africa and Southern America.
This announcement serves the Zionist occupation and its expanding policy in the region. For sure, it only serves Trump's election campaign and Netanyahu's own political conflicts.
Donald Trump has clearly decided small individual deals in the Middle East will change the reality on the ground, rather than try and fail for an all-encompassing peace package like previous presidents. He says 5 more countries are ready to join in. He believes these deals protect America, reduce the chance of expensive, bloody foreign wars, and helps his re-election efforts. Alan Fisher, Al Jazeera, at the White House.
That's it for international news. We now look at sports news. In sports news, NKANA Football Club has scoped the 2020-2021 FAS Atlas Mara Samuel Zoom and Glovo Charity Shield, which took off this afternoon. It is a fixture that has signaled the opening of the 2020-2021 season, with NKANA adding to their 17-time Charity Shield haulage, while INDENI, who won the recently held Big Six Club Championships, hopes to enhance their Super League credentials by winning the Charity Shield but failed. Meanwhile, Chipolo Polo boys players today trained at Addis Ababa Stadium ahead of their second international friendly match against the Walias Ibex of Ethiopia. The boys completed their last training session ahead of Sunday's match, in which they will be looking for their second win against hosts 2 days after they came from behind to win 3-2. The game takes place at 16 hours, which is 15 hours Zambian time, on Sunday at the Addis Ababa Stadium. Video footage is courtesy of Football Association of Zambia. We wish the boys well as they take off the international friendly tomorrow, Sunday. That note brings us to the close of our news. But let's just look at the top stories before we leave. Zambia celebrates 56 years of independence, while UPND and NDC women use the day to protest against police brutality. Government defers local printing of ballot papers to 2026. Half of all political office bearers are corrupt, charges Patriotic Front presidential hopeful KBF. In international news, gunfire erupts in Guinea as president heads for third term. In sports news, NKANA takes Charity Shield title in a game played against INDENI. We now look at the Camnet verse for the day, and it's coming from 1 Corinthians 12 verse 12 to 13, and it reads, "Just as the body has many parts, but all its many parts of the body, so it is with Christ. For we were all baptized by one Spirit as to form one body, whether Jews or Gentiles, slave or free, and we were all given one Spirit to drink." That's all we could accommodate for you on the news desk tonight. My name is Sharon Kalimbula. Once again, happy 56th Independence to Mother Zambia and everybody who's watching Camnet TV. Good night.